how do I as a seeker understand which Mahavidya calls me? Who do I belong to?
You do an exploration of doing one mala of every Devi for 11 days, end it with the opposite polarity. Go from Kali to Kamalatmika and go from Kamalatmika to Kali. The Devi that has chosen you will reveal herself. Had it been for Kali, there would be total darkness. Had it been for Tara, it would be total light. But it is Shodashi that creates life.
The red goddess.
The red goddess. She's Maa Sundari, Lalitambiga, Rajarajeshwari, and she is, you can say, a beautiful combination of all the colors that earth could ever experience. Not everybody is interested. Spiritual life opens up for people when they have lived many meaningless materialistic lives for many lifetimes. Then spiritual doors open, and when they open, then there is a certitude in your heart that I'm not going to get scared with all this that people tell me, because there is a authentic calling from inside that tells you that I want to do sadhana.
Hello and welcome back to your favorite spiritual podcast, Speaking Tree, and this is Rangoli Sharma with you. The 10 Mahavidyas are the 10 unique forms of the Divine Mother, Adi Parashakti. Now, if you look at the word Mahavidya, Maha means great and Vidya means knowledge. So, the 10 goddesses who offer you the great knowledge, the great wisdom. In today's episode, we will understand who are the 10 Mahavidyas, how to pray to them, what do they signify, how to do their sadhana, can anyone do their sadhana, and what changes their prayer will bring into your life. And for this episode, we have with us all-time favorite Speaking Tree star, Maa Gyaan Suveera. Ma, welcome back to Speaking Tree.
Namaste Rangoli, thank you, and namaste to your audience. It's absolute sheer joy to be here with all of you again.
Our pleasure, ma'am, and I'm sure that it's going to be a very insightful podcast, and this will give our audience a great understanding of the Cosmic Mother, and I am personally very excited for it.
Yes.
Yes. So, Ma, before we start the podcast, can we start it with a mantra?
Yes, sure. We should start with a mantra to, bring so much of auspiciousness and beautiful energy in our conversation. So, I'll do a small Ganesha prayer that we normally do in our hermitage. Om Shri Mahaganpate Namaha, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Matre Namaha. Ekadantam chaturhastam pashama kushadharinam radam cha varadam hastair vibranam mushakadvajam raktam lambodaram shurpakarnakam raktavasasam raktagandhanuliptangan raktapushpaisu pujitam bhaktanukampinam devam jagatkaranam achyutam avibhutam cha shishtayadav prakrite purushat param evam dhyayati yo nityam sayogi yoginam varah om namo vratapataye namo ganapataye namah pramathapataye namastestu lambodaraya ekadantaya vignanashine shivasutaya Shri Varadamurtaye Namo Namaha.
Wow.
Yes. Om.
Om. So, ma'am, to begin with, for those of us who are not familiar with the concept of Mahavidyas, who are the 10 Mahavidyas and what do they signify? What is their origin?
Yes, the Mahavidya tradition is a very old tradition, Rangoli, and was not so heard of other than in the spiritual circles and sadhana circles, not known to common men and women because they are very crude, they're very raw, they're very
intense.
Very organic, intense. And the depictions and the pictures of the Mahavidyas are not something that everybody feels comfortable with because they are actually pictures of energies that they represent rather than women. The pictures are not so feminine. They are more representing the energy that they are. So they have not been popular, especially in householders and other than Mother Kali, of course, which everybody recognizes, but the other Mahavidyas like Bhairavi is there, Chinnamasta, Dhoomavati, these are not pictures that people have in their households, and they are not somebody who is who are commonly worshipped. The reason being that they are very raw and very, very organic to look at, and people don't know how to interpret these pictures. They don't know what they represent, and so there is a fear. There's always a fear connected with Mahavidyas. Should we invoke them? And I hope something wrong doesn't happen, etc. In recent times, however, they are becoming very popular, and becoming popular because of all the social media and the internet, connectivity, information that is so much there. They're becoming more lovable and more approachable and understandable.
So people want to understand their energy, because I do feel that there is also a spiritual expansion that is happening.
Yes, it is. And more organic things are coming up now. For instance, the Devi sadhanas which have been there in our traditions are very domesticated Devis, bejeweled and very pleasing, in family pictures. So these Devis, the Navadurgas and other Devis that are very well seated, wearing beautiful clothes and jewels, are more easily acceptable to our psychology. So they have been worshipped, but Mahavidyas very little. They are actually a very original explanation of the Devi principle. Like you correctly said in the beginning, Adi Shakti, kind of makes a trikona. Trikona means like a triangle, that represents the sattva, rajas and tamas. Sattva, rajas and tamas is the first step of the creation. When creation happened, and when Shiva Shakti principle, began the process of creation, the sattva, rajas and tamas, which is the trigunas, these are the first. This was the first step of the creation. Then all the Panchamahabhutas were created, and then the gross creation of this universe happened. So the Devi, what we call as in Mahavidyas, the Devi's entire process of creation has been explained in these 10 Mahavidyas. Beginning from this upper triangle or the upper trikona, the Kali, Tara and Shodashi. Kali represents some total of tamas, from which all the positive aspect of light has come out. And then Tara, which is absolute sattva, which is purity and transcendence. And Shodashi, which is the red aspect or the rajasic aspect of creation. These three were created, and these three goddesses represent the three gunas, that is the tamas, the sattva and the rajas. And then the other levels, the other 7 levels of the Mahavidyas are understood as a step-by-step, process of creation. So when we go over to the explanation of Mahavidyas, I would love to, speak about how these 3 Devis were created first, and then the 4th Devi has all these 3 aspects in her. For instance, Bhuvaneshwari comes at number 4, and Bhuvaneshwari has Kali, Tara and Shodashi in her. And then when we go over to Bhairavi, Bhairavi has all the aspects of Kali, Tara, Shodashi and Bhuvaneshwari in her. They are like all the Devis are amalgamating, integrating into each other, forming this creation, and hence different vibratory fields. If you understand the Devis from the point of view of vibrations and frequency, it's easier to understand them. And then, of course, what application they have in this process of creation, that can be understood very easily.
So, Ma, who are these 10 Mahavidyas? What are their attributes that I think our audience would love to know?
Yes, they aren't any kind of feminine characters moving around somewhere in the universe. They are not women moving around in the universe. They're frequencies. And when we say frequencies, because they belong to the Shakti frequencies, we depict them as women. But then there is a living goddess in every man also, and when you understand the word Devi as energy, then you understand that it is not related to gender. It is related to the functional aspect of consciousness. Consciousness, which is Shiva principle, is a static principle, potential principle, whereas Devi is the moving aspect of consciousness, and so she is energy. She's more kinetic in nature. And different aspects of Devi, the different creations of Devi, different, Mahavidyas, for instance, are different frequencies of that same one Devi, which is Adi Parashakti, that is splitting into 10 different aspects that is ruling this universe. So when we talk about Devi, when we talk about Mahavidyas, the first thing to understand, it is not a woman.
Wow. Okay.
This is the first thing to understand. Yes,
that people
it is energy, and this energy is prevalent in a man and a woman both, in me as well as in any other man. And so she is living as a principle, energy principle, in me, in you, in everyone, be it masculine or feminine. So invocation of the Devi is basically the invocation of the core energy principle in you, which creates that dynamic that each of these Devis is representing. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ma, could you brief about all the Mahavidyas, starting from 1 to 10?
Yes, I would love to do that. The Kali, as they say, the darkness. Kali means darkness. The darkness is so throbbing with creativity and life. From this darkness, everything has come out. We are born to this darkness. And the journey is from being born to this darkness, going into the light and coming back into the darkness, which means that there is creation, there is sustenance, there is dissolution, and there is involution again. So there is this eternal cycle of life and death that every being on earth goes through. And from the energy point of view, we are born to Kali and we return back into Kali. We are born to this darkness and we return back after having seen the light, come back into the Kali by choice. So she is the most transcended form of the Devi. At the onset of the Mahavidyas, it is Kali. The whole Vidyas, all the Vidyas have come out of her. So she is at par with consciousness. She is consciousness itself. And therefore, in the Mahavidya sadhanas, Kali sadhanas is the most intense. It is the most intense, and any other sadhana also, if someone is doing any other Mahavidyas also, they enter into consciousness through Kali.
So they have to start through Kali.
It is by any which way you will have to go into Kali and then go into consciousness. That means, what is the purpose of a sadhana? First of all, let us understand this, Rangoli. Why would anybody want to do sadhana? Why does anybody want to do sadhana? They want to experience Paramatma.
Yeah.
This is the goal of sadhana. Of whether it is Shiva sadhana, Bhairav sadhana, Kali sadhana or anything. The goal is to experience Paramatma, God realization. This is the ultimate goal. So, God realization happens through Kali only when we talk of Mahavidyas. That means that even if you're doing Bhuvaneshwari sadhana or Chinnamasta sadhana or Dhoomavati sadhana, the frequency rises up to the frequency of Kali and it takes you into consciousness.
Okay.
Kali is transcended. That means the sadhak transcends, enters into that, spectrum of Kali and then goes into realization of God. So she is the beginning point and the end point of the sadhana. All right.
Wow.
So Kali is where the creation begins, and she is sum total of the tamas. From this frequency comes out the frequency of Tara, which is pure sattva, pure light. So, where Kali represents darkness and absolute procreation, which is in its grossest, in the darkest form, Tara represents the first shoot of creation. The first shoot that begins with creation, and that is sattva. Purity and transcendence, knowledge, wisdom. She represents knowledge, wisdom, like Saraswati. She's like Saraswati in the Mahavidyas.
Okay, she's like the form of...
Saraswati, and purity, like Brahma, like Saraswati, like absolute represented with absolute white. Yeah. So education and wisdom and absolute meditation, no movement. Yes, creativity, etc. Then the third principle of Shodashi is born. This is represented by the color red. And this is absolute productivity and activity. Shodashi is absolute productivity and activity. It represents the sum total of all the creativity and everything that is buzzing here on earth. Had it been for Kali, there would be total darkness. Had it been for Tara, it would be total light. But it is Shodashi that creates life.
The red goddess.
So, the red goddess. She's Maa Sundari, Lalita, Lalitambiga, Rajarajeshwari, And she is, you can say, a beautiful combination of all the colors that earth could ever experience.
Wow.
That is why she has become most popular in the Mahavidya tradition. Sri Vidya is most popular. Sri Vidya is the study and sadhana of Shodashi, which comes in the Trikona. It comes in the red format, in representing some total of Rajas. All right. Then comes Bhuvaneshwari. Bhuvaneshwari is Bhuvan Ishwari. That means the ruler of the sky. The one that rules the sky, ether element. She rules the ether element and the connectivity between the earth and the heavens, connectivity between earth and all the realms above. So the Trikona of Kali, Tara and Shodashi, you cannot connect to without the stage of Bhuvaneshwari, without the frequency of Bhuvaneshwari. She connects. She brings on earth, she grossifies everything and makes it possible for the creation to be visible. She grossifies everything. So whatever Kali is dreaming, Bhuvaneshwari is bringing it down on earth. She's manifesting and making. That's why she's the Devi for manifestation. People worship her for with their ichha, and they express their desire to the Devi. She is the Devi that grants and blesses them with whatever they want.
So she's the one who quickly
manifests, yes, because she can connect to the higher three Devis and can bring down to earth whatever is required.
So she's like the medium to the
to the higher frequencies. Yes, Bhuvaneshwari, and also is in many places in India, many states in India, wherever Bhuvaneshwari is prevalently practiced, you will see her decked up like Shodashi. She's appears to be much like Shodashi, in red, bejeweled, and sitting on a asana, and she looks like Shodashi. She's much like Shodashi. So Bhuvaneshwari is these Devis also correspond to planets. These Devis also correspond to different functions of creation in our body as well as outside our body. So Bhuvaneshwari corresponds to moon, and she's the mind. And therefore, a very important aspect of our living. When with her blessings, the mind is purified. With her blessings, we are able to think right. With her blessings, we are able to connect to the other Devis very beautifully.
Because it's connected to moon.
Yes,
right?
It's connected to moon. She's connected to moon. She's at par with the moon. These correspondence with planets and with colors and with different forms of Vishnu and different forms of Shiva, they've all been written down by thinkers and sadhaks who have been aligning themselves to these frequencies and been experimenting with the Devis. You can then make a list of stones that can correspond to these crystal stones and precious stones that can correspond to these Devis. You can make a list of planets that align with these Devis, etc. So Bhuvaneshwari is here at our crown, and she represents the Devi that brings down the dreams of all these upper three Devis on the earth, and is blending these gunas, into creating gross forms, whether it is trees or all the different beings or human beings, whatever you see in a tangible form on earth, it's the work of the Bhuvaneshwari that she's bringing it all down. Then Bhairavi, you have as a power in the third eye. Bhairavi is very fierce. That's why Bhairavi is also always shown very fiery, and very scary. She looks very scary because she is a very fierce energy that comes from at par with the Bhairava Shakti, at par with the Shiva Shakti at the brow. So she is depicted most of the times as a Smashana Bhairavi or someone. She corresponds to all the 9 planets. You see, her energy is like stretchable like a rubber band.
Wow.
That's why she represents all the 9 planets, and she can align to every planet.
That's why she controls all the 9 planets.
Yes, she controls. And if you see beautiful pictures that artists have depicted on the internet, or you see Bhairavi, putting her finger on all the 9 planets. She can control the 9 planets and bring their movement. It's like that. So she's a kind of a cosmic controller. And yes, aligns with all the 9 planets, aligns with the Pravaha Shakti. Pravaha Shakti is a very profound Shakti of Shiva. That which can burn things, that which can destroy things, entropy. There's a word in English called entropy. Entropy is like rearranging all that is being beautifully designed. I don't like this arrangement and I redesign everything. So she's got that energy of redesigning the cosmos, Bhairavi. That's why she is a powerful Devi that can eradicate any kind of suffering, disease. She can control elements. She can control prana. Pranic Shakti is controlled by the Bhairavi force and can realign, restructure anything and everything. So her sadhana is done by few people. Those who dare to do the sadhana, because she would then, when we do the Devi sadhana, it's almost like the Devi picks you up and puts him or her in her lap. Now, are you brave enough, courageous enough to sit in her lap? Is something that keeps many people away from, because they don't feel strong enough. The Bhairavi is like that. But once you, be it Kali or Bhairavi, even Kali is very, very scary to look at. Be it Kali or Bhairavi, people understand, those who enter into her sadhana, understand that they are oceans of love, absolute, big bodies of love that can dissolve your identity, your ego completely in their presence. These Devis are like that.
What I have read, Ma, is that like Bhairavi and Kali, they are intense, but at the same time, they're very compassionate as well.
Very compassionate, yes, very compassionate. They're like you can dissolve yourself completely and feel secure in their love.
Yeah.
You can feel so secure in their love. Kali, when you sense Kali's energy, you feel that she can take over my life completely, and I'm happily giving my life to her. So much of sense of security and the power is like you feel very, very grounded inside, and you feel that I don't want to make any decisions. Let her make the decisions for me. She's that kind of energy. Yes. So Bhairavi is eradication of evil spirits and eradication of any kind of negativity, cleansing of the aura, cleansing of the mind, and disease. Bhairavi sadhana is done for all of this. And of course, for people who want to experience the higher realms, Bhairavi helps you to transcend planetary forces. People who have a lot of complications in their horoscopes, they do Bhairavi sadhana, because she helps you to transcend over the sufferings that planets are bringing in as karmic conduits. Planets are bringing in events and episodes of your life, the goods and bads of your life. So she can help you transcend suffering very easily, planetary suffering. That's Bhairavi. And then we have the Chinnamasta, at the throat level. Chinnamasta, again, a very, very scary looking picture of Chinnamasta. You see her head is chopped off and she's holding her own head in her hand, and then there is fountains of blood oozing out from her system, which is actually fountains of energy coming up from her system. A completely activated energy system that is in its complete blossom, in completely blooming. The Ida and the Pingala are profusely coming out with energy. The Sushumna is completely profusely coming out with energy. And so it's an enlightened state of a being where she's standing on a couple. She's standing on Rati and Kama. And it is very clearly depicting that she's gotten over all kinds of desires. So it's an enlightened state, very enlightened state. And coincidentally, she corresponds to the throat chakra, where purification of prana is happening. Vishuddhi, we call it Vishuddhi. Purification of prana is happening, and there is redesigning of your pranic system. All the pancha pranas get purified here. And she is the Devi. Again, when I say Devi, she is that energy, which is redesigning your entire pranic system. Also your tapasya, whatever tapasya we do, sadhana we do, the energy generated out of our mantra japa and everything, she takes care of all of this energy. It is at this level, at the throat level. So Chinnamasta is again a very benevolent goddess, corresponds to planet Rahu. She corresponds to planet Rahu, and a very, very benevolent planet. Also exhaustion of, like Rahu, exhaustion of old karmic scripts, and so her bhakti helps you again to transcend suffering, get over all kinds of addictions, helps you to win over any kind of desire, and she helps you to become a master of your life.
The Rahu traits.
Yes, the Rahu trait, yes. And parallelly to her is Dhoomavati, which comes at the heart level. Dhoomavati, as you see, normally is depicted as a very pale kind of a feminine figure, not a very good-looking, ugly kind of a feminine picture, grey, completely discolored. Like we say, a grayscale image of a Devi, of a woman sitting, parched condition, drought condition, sitting with a willowing basket. She's having a chata in her hand, and there's a crow, her vahan. So the picture itself is not a very encouraging picture. However, Dhoomavati sadhana has been one of the very guhya sadhanas, very secret sadhanas, and there are people who are devoted to her mantra japa. She is like corresponding to the heart, to the anahata, where the air element is predominant and represents change, complete change. That means who does her sadhana? She can eradicate povertized conditions, absolute paucity of love or money or domesticated issues that are really bad. She can eradicate suffering of very intense order. That's why she's depicted like that. As, it's like acid that can really finish the layers completely and bring the luster off the surface above. She's like that. So people are scared to do her sadhana. However, she's again like Kali, an ocean of compassion, very, very compassionate. And people discourage her darshan and her. For ordinary people, I'm not pro and against this statement that I make, that why do people discourage her sadhana? I won't speak for it or against it. The reason being that householders, and that's why Mahavidyas has not been a very, has not found space on the altars of householder, families, because they're very intense. They're standalone energies without spouses. If you see, there are no consorts. A Mahavidya, any Mahavidya you talk about, she's a standalone energy.
So as you said, she's complete in herself.
Yes.
That's why
so
it's not...
you won't find these pictures of Mahavidyas very popular with householders, because they're scary. They're scary because they're standalone energies. They are not shown with consorts. You don't see a male consort with a Mahavidya. Though in present times, there are corresponding Vishnu avatars and corresponding Shiva avatars, but the origin of Mahavidyas shows them as standalone energy, which is having a male and a female within her own existence. That means that if there is a Jagrat energy, Mahavidya, in a sadhak, then he does not have a counterpart. He is a standalone energy. And so this goes against the family tradition.
Exactly. They won't need anybody if they pray to them.
Yes, this goes against the family tradition, where dependency is one of the important aspects. And so they are not encouraged, in household life. However, they are not to be feared. They are definitely not to be feared. Any Mahavidya can be invoked for her frequency. The frequency. For instance, somebody has a weakness in the heart, you can invoke the Dhoomavati to balance the heart chakra. They can be taken into chakra correspondence and can be invoked even for XYZ issues that people are facing. That means they're therapeutic. And if one does not want to take the sadhana to that level of transcendence and going into God realization, one can bring them into everyday life with love to deal with issues that they are dealing with. For instance, somebody is into addiction, the Chinnamasta mantra can help them to, gather the strength required to come out of any kind of abuse, be it substance abuse or be it alcoholism or anything. Even emotional addictions, she helps you to come over emotional addictions as well. So Dhoomavati is, the air element, which means change, and she can actually, her mantra can actually help you get rid of, she's with a chanta, so she can remove and fade out unnecessary things from your life to bring you into core sadhana. Sometimes these Mahavidya sadhanas also help you to support you on your other mainstream sadhana. For instance, let's say somebody is in Shiva Bhakti or into Ganesha Bhakti or any hardcore long-term sadhana, and there are some obstacles that he or she is facing, be a health issue or any other. These Mahavidya sadhanas can be taken as laghu anushtans, small anushtans, to eradicate that problem. They are very very lovable, open, and easily can be brought into your energy system. They are not difficult at all, and it's not important for everybody to do intense sadhana. Even sadhana can be done at 3 levels, and one needs to understand, do I want to get into hardcore sadhana which is going to take me to God realization, or would I want to just be with the beautiful energy, let's say, of Bhuvaneshwari or Shodashi? I can just invoke this energy to assist me on this journey of life, to make my life more beautiful. So they can be taken at a moderate level, where one need not think that I'm going to become an isolate, or I'm going to become a sadhu or something, that if I start doing this mantra, and in 1 mantra and 2 mantra, nothing extreme will ever happen. So there should be no fear to experiment with them, because they're aligning with your chakra energies, and they are not something that they're not any kind of punishing agents. They are not going to punish you. The least that happens in these things is nothing will happen. So there's never anything to get worried about. So after Dhoomavati, then we have the Baglamukhi, which is a yellow goddess, Pitambari Devi. Very popular goddess, and everywhere I love to see her temples are very well decked up and decorated, especially in modern times. They deck her up very well. They dress her up very beautiful. We have beautiful statues of Baglamukhi everywhere. Yeah. Although when you see the olden pictures of Baglamukhi, again, she's a very fiery goddess. There are lines to planet Mars. So very fiery energy, and the goddess that can. When you see the picture of Baglamukhi, they show the goddess in a chariot, and there is she's pulling the tongue of a person who is kneeling down and begging to her. So she corresponds to something we call Stambhan Shakti. Stambhan Shakti means the power to halt something. Basically, it is that frequency that can bring the prana to complete halt. That means moving energy can come to a halt with Baglamukhi. She's that energy. So often she is spoken about as someone who can stop any kind of invasion or any kind of act that is done on you, and invoked for all kinds of things like legal cases and worldly issues.
Like the warlike issues.
The goddesses which come in the line, Baglamukhi, Matangi, and Kamalatmika, they correspond to the lower 3 chakras, and therefore related to common things which are there in the world. And for instance, material gains, the issues related to Swadhisthana and issues related to Manipura. Baglamukhi corresponds to the solar plexus and to the Manipura, the land of jewels, and so she is that kind of a power. Manipura is always spoken about as a chakra that represents courage, willpower, courage, the power to sustain, stand, resurrect, etc. Baglamukhi does all of that. The power to win over something, power to make your will very strong, exercise of free will. And that Stambhan Shakti, what we call about her, is all about a pranic force or a frequency that can stop anything, anytime, and can rechange and can redesign everything. Just like Bhairavi does that at a very subtler level. Baglamukhi does that at a physical level. It's like that. So she is called Pitambari Devi, depicted with all yellow, color of the solar power, colors of the sun. And very popular Devi in today's times. When I see the Mahavidyas, Shodashi is very popular because of XYZ reasons that we'll talk about. And Baglamukhi is very powerful because people have had experiences where they have won over many catastrophes and many wars and many difficulties with the grace of this Devi. So the Devis are like that. And this is my personal, view and experience, that the more you invoke the Devi becomes more alive. It's energy.
Yeah.
The more attention you give to the energy becomes more alive.
It walks with you.
Yes, it is reciprocating.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't invoke the Devi doesn't get invoked. It's like that. So because it's energy. So the more popular the Devis are, those Devis are more living.
Wow. Like Maa Tripura Sundari.
Yes, she's more living because she's been invoked. Mostly, everywhere you see the Sri Vidya tradition is very, very popular. So they are more living, they're more alive, they're more available, they're more understood. Whereas the Devis that are not worshipped much, they are lesser known, lesser active, and in a slumber. We say they're in a slumber.
So it's more difficult to invoke them.
It's difficult. It's not being practiced, so they don't get invoked so soon. But when you start invoking, they get invoked. It's like that. You bring up the sleeping energy again. It's like that. So Baglamukhi is very popular in today's times, and therefore all temples are really, really vibrant. All the Baglamukhi temples, wherever I have seen them, they're very vibrant, and lots and lots of followers and worshippers. They throng there. The pithas are very active. The pitha where the Devi is living is very active. Sadhaks have done Baglamukhi sadhana and gone, and the pitham remains there for followers to take the energy. It's like that. So it's very popular. Then we have Matangi. After Baglamukhi, you have Matangi at the Swadhisthana level, where she's the Devi of craft, all kinds of craft. Again, a Tantric Saraswati, like Tara. Tara is more of education and transcendental knowledge, whereas Matangi is more of worldly art and craft. So all performing arts and all kinds of beautiful vidyas, they come under her domain. And again, one of the very versatile and beautiful Devis that one can experiment with. You can experiment with these Devis. Like I said, you need not go into hardcore sadhana to feel lost somewhere. Just one or two mantras or a picture of a Devi, or just talking to her, tay with her every day. She's invoked and can give you absolutely amazing insights.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very easy. They're very approachable because they're very raw. And when I say they're very raw, again, not women, but the energy is very raw in you, and you just have to touch that frequency.
Like they are also seeking you.
Yes, and they're also seeking you. Yes, absolutely. Lot of revelations. The Mahavidyas, once you start doing their mantras or the stotras, there are many different ways in which they can be invoked. Dhyana is there, worship is there, rituals are there, hardcore practices. There are many different levels and many different ways of invoking them. We can talk about that later. So Matangi is a Devi for all craft. And all craft, when I say that, means experimenting. All kinds of experimenting is done, mesmerizing, and Vakashuddhi. When we talk about the good aspects of these Devis, they are all very blessed. They bless you with abilities and siddhis. The lower Devis are loaded with siddhis. They can grant you so many siddhis. Abilities that get invoked within your chakra system and within your Shakti points. When a particular Shakti point has maximum energy, then it opens up like a flower and the ability is granted to the sadhak. So Vakashuddhi, Vakashakti, and power of manifestation, power of seeing through things, seeing past, present, future, intuition, downloads, all of these are very common siddhis that people get when they are worshipping these Devis, and Mahavidyas are known for this.
Okay. Ma'am, which planet is associated with Matangi?
Matangi is associated with Sun, and Baglamukhi, what I spoke about before, is associated with Mars.
Yes.
So the force of Matangi also is very popular Devi again, like Baglamukhi. She's popular for two things: people who are in art and in singing, dance, and various kinds of skills. Even skills that are lesser spoken about, like culinary skills or anything that one does with their hands and with the karmendriyas. She blesses the person with extraordinary abilities. And downloads, downloads means that she helps you to connect with the intelligence of the cosmos and can give you ideas that are absolutely mind-blowing. She's known, people worship Matangi when they are in any kind of skills and they want extraordinary attainment. And so after Matangi we have Kamalatmika, which is aligned to Venus, and proper Lakshmi energy of Lakshmi. She is more invoked like Lakshmi in today's times, and earthly energy, earthly abundance, prosperity, money, goddess of money. Lakshmi is called goddess of abundance and money, well seated on the earth chakra. The earth element is predominant in your root chakra.
Yeah.
So she is like, the earth is producing abundance. That is the energy of Kamalatmika. She is the abundance that is coming out from earth, and gives you, she's a provider for all the food and for all the resources that mankind needs, all the beings require on earth. So goddess of prosperity and goddess of, she provides us with everything, much alike Lakshmi, what Lakshmi is invoked in. So these Mahavidyas, when you understand them as frequencies and as energy, you understand them better. And with that understanding, when you begin with their sadhanas, then they actually manifest in your life, and you can actually experience their energy. You can very easily experience their energy. They're so explorable. You can explore them.
They are accessible.
Yeah, they're accessible. Yes, yes.
Okay, so many questions after the description, and I'm sure our viewers might have the same questions. Firstly, how do I, as a seeker, understand which Mahavidya calls me? Who do I belong to? Like, do they choose us or do we choose them?
Yeah, they choose you, for sure. But like when you take admission into a school, even a small child has to give an interview.
Yeah.
When you want to get into college, you have to write an entrance test. In the same way, these Mahavidyas have already chosen you.
Okay.
But you have to go through a format. And our Guru Parampara talks about exploring the Mahavidyas. You do 1 or 2 malas of every Mahavidya. This is what we suggest to our students, that take up from Kali to Kamalatmika and from Kamalatmika to Kali. The Mahavidyas are, like I said, they have both the polarities in them. They're self-standing, alone standing. So there's a male polarity in the Mahavidya, which is exactly opposite in sequence. For instance, the sadhana of Kali, if you are doing any sadhana, let's say I'm doing 1 mala of the Kali mantra for 11 days, and I want to finish this. As I finished 11 days, now I want to start with the Tara mantra. The finishing of the Mahavidya sadhana can be done with its opposite polarity, which is in Kamalatmika. So 1 mala of Kamalatmika can be invoked at the end of your sadhana of 11 days. We suggest normally to people to do 1 or 2 malas of every Devi, starting from Kali to Kamalatmika. That means you do 2 malas, let's say, or 1 mala, let's say, of Kali every day for 11 days. On the 11th day, do 1 mantra, 1 mala of the Kamalatmika to give the male polarity.
Okay.
All right. Now come to Tara. You do 1 mala of Tara mantra for 11 days, and in the end, do 1 mala of Matangi to end the male polarity, to give it the complementing polarity. They are within themselves male and female polarities.
Complementing
each other. Yes. Shodashi will complement with Baglamukhi. Chinnamasta will complement to Dhoomavati. Dhoomavati will complement to Chinnamasta. And then Baglamukhi will complement to Shodashi. Then Matangi will complement to Tara, and Kamalatmika to Kali.
Okay.
You see, so they so when you're doing this exploration, your question, I'm bringing the attention, how do I know which Devi is calling me? You do an exploration of doing 1 mala of every Devi for 11 days, end it with the opposite polarity. Go from Kali to Kamalatmika and go from Kamalatmika to Kali. The Devi that has chosen you will reveal herself.
Okay.
She will reveal herself. You'll get attraction. When you're doing her her sadhana.
So, Ma, the exploration that you talked about, it's a very traditional and ritualistic exploration. But let's just say you also said in one of the descriptions of one of the Mahavidyas that they are very accessible. So, is it possible, like, I just, think about them, meditate upon them, and then they also tell me, like, I have chosen you?
Yes, can be. Your intuition can definitely identify the calling. Your intuition can. So, if one doesn't want to go with the mantra sadhana for 11 days, one could do a meditation on the picture of the Devi, can also be done, and can ask, which of you is, speaking to me or talking to me or loves me as her sadhak. And you'll definitely get there are so many ways of divinations that can help you to identify the closeness that you have to the Devi. Revelation can happen in many ways, so many ways. You can talk, you can converse, you can do tratak on them, you can take their yantras and can see which of these I really love. She will show up. She will. The method that I spoke about is a very traditional method. Yes, and that does justice to all the whole spectrum of the Devis, all the Mahavidyas. It does justice. Then it's like you're offering a flower to every Devi, and then you're seeing which of this flower is given me back.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Ma, you also said that it's not important that you have to sit with them. They can be with you while you're living your materialistic normal life.
Yes, of course.
So, two questions. A, can a householder pray to them? Can a householder walk with their hand?
Yes, of course. They're Devis. They're Devis, which means they're benevolent powers. They're benevolent powers belonging to the Adi Shakti. And Adi Shakti is a basic nurturing force in this universe. So praying to them can never do any harm. It's not, never.
So why there is a misconception that it's not safe to pray to Mahavidyas?
No,
they are scary. Why do people have, misspread this information?
It's a wrong conditioning. It's a wrong conditioning. Partly because of a social system. There has been a patriarchal system for a long time.
Yes.
And women were not encouraged to do Devi sadhana. There was a time when Gayatri mantra was also banned. Women were not allowed to do Gayatri and things like that. So there was a social structure. We have a history where there was a lot of suppression and a lot of scary things were created that something wrong will happen when... There is nothing wrong on this earth that happens because of the deity's punishing power. Any wrong that happens in our life is because of our own karmas and because of the law of cause and effect. There is no deity who is unreasonably punishing anyone.
Okay.
That never happens. The universe is running on the basis of on the law of cause and effect, and it is a flawless law. There is no mistake there. The deities support our journey. Because we go through sufferings. When we go through sufferings, we take the help of the deities to eradicate suffering or to walk over the suffering or to transcend suffering. So the deities are here for our good. They're not here to punish us unreasonably. They're not hot-headed, cracky powers that are just going to punish you for the heck of it. There are evil powers in the universe that can play pranks with you. If one mistakes this evil power to be the deity, then it's our mistake. So the misconceptions of deities and these Devis especially, the Devis are benevolent for sure. The misconception about the Devis that they can ruin life or they can, they scare you for... That is wrong information.
Okay.
That's not true. They're benevolent powers, loving powers that one can explore, experience and offer reverence to. And you will always receive blessings. You will never receive any kind of unreasonable punishment. And none of the deities on this earth can ever do this. No deity will unreasonably punish. The punishment comes only on account of the law of cause and effect that we have accumulated. I will have to bear what I have accumulated. And this kind of injustice doesn't happen in the universe. Yeah.
Okay. But do they bring detachment? Do they bring vairagya? When a materialistic person especially, prays to them?
Materialistic, I wouldn't say, but yes, vairagya needs to be viewed as, do I want Vairagya or I don't want Vairagya. If a family man does not want Vairagya, then why should he do any sadhana at all? Any sadhana will create Vairagya and a thought of detachment and renunciation in the mind.
It's not just Mahavidyas.
It's just Mahavidya. Any sadhana will do, and this Vairagya is not appreciated by people who are in household life, because they feel that now his attachment to the children and to the rest of the family is gonna be less, and we want him to be attached. So detachment is not appreciated by other members of the family. So it's up to the sadhak. Does he want to be detached and wants to walk on the path of dharma and wants to be a householder, yet pursue his spiritual journey, then he takes up the sadhana. So that's why sadhana for Mahavidyas or any is not encouraged for everyone. And then there are people who choose not to do anything. There's so many millions of people on earth who choose not to do anything. They just want to be involved in their day and night, work timetables, and that's it. Not everybody is interested. Spiritual life opens up for people when they have lived many meaningless materialistic lives for many lifetimes. Then spiritual doors open, and when they open, then there is a certitude in your heart that I'm not going to get scared with all this that people tell me, because there is a authentic calling from inside that tells you that I want to do sadhana.
Really, that's something so deep that you said.
Yeah.
Because people wonder, how am I be so spiritual when nobody in my family is? But what they don't understand is that this is some sort of purv punya, something that they're bringing of pur sadhanas, right?
Absolutely. And your family is not been traveling with you for many lifetimes. We are independent souls, independently pursuing our journeys, and we get entangled in soul circles, coming here to fulfill our rin and bandhan. We call it rinanu bandhan. We come here to fulfill rin and bandhan with people. So in this lifetime, father, mother, brother, sister, you were someone else in your previous lifetime that you don't even remember. And you had your children, you had your father, mother. Are you attached to them? Not in this life. Because that's how God has made. We finish one lifetime, we forget everything, and we come into another lifetime with different relationships, and we think they are our life, and then we move into another, we leave them behind and move into another life. And then there's another set of people you get attached to. So these attachments are for these lifetimes. And Rinanu Bandhan are there. That means the soul does keep circuiting. They come into your life again for you to fulfill the liability or, outstanding that is there from previous lifetime. Be it with good things in life or bad things in life. That means happiness is also carried forward, and the bandhan of happiness is also carried forward. And so is sadness and enmity carried forward into next lifetime to give you the experiences again. So the law of cause and effect is working perfectly, and these many lifetimes are nothing but involvement of these causes that we bring into effect in our present lifetime. So Mahavidyas, coming back to the worship of Mahavidyas, is not something that householders they are scared of. One, because of all the long, our dharma, our tradition, the Sanatana dharma and tradition has come a long way. It's come a long way and has gone through a lot of historical, phases where misinterpretations has happened of all these Devic powers. There's been a lot of misinterpretation and wrong conditioning of all these deities. And so what is our duty in present timeline, your duty and my duty, is to understand God as love.
Yes,
absolutely. B, to understand the Devi, as the core of my being, the core of my energy. She is energy. Just like how the Brahman soul is consciousness, the Devi is our energy. If you understand her in that way, then you are not scared of exploring her. If you understand her as a Devi that can be very fierce and that can be very scary, almost like a power of evil, some kind of evil, then there is no point in exploration. Then you better keep the chapter closed. But if you're a sadhak and you really understand this core thing about Devi, that she's energy and I want to experience her, then you can go ahead and explore. And there's nothing scary about exploration. Householders, discouraged because of detachment, like you spoke about Vairagya. Yeah, Vairagya is one thing that inevitably will come in, and that is not something appreciated in family life. People want you to cry when everyone is crying. People want you to get angry when everyone is, it's like this. And so a person who is developed vairagya will remain unoscillated and non-reactive to a lot of things, and that is not something appreciated in the family.
And that's what people find scary.
They find it scary. Vairagya is not something that people want, and therefore discouraged. The moment I have seen householders where people don't want to keep the murti, the idol of Buddha, or the idol of Kali, or don't keep this, they're scared. There's wrong conditioning. Wrong conditioning come out of all the historical drawbacks that we've had in our country, and also concepts not understood clearly scientifically and not understood with love. You just pile on a lot of myth in the head and a lot of misconceptions without giving yourself the freedom and the courage to explore. Freedom and courage to explore. Okay, if you don't like it, don't do it. But you have to try and do it to understand whether I like it or not. You don't have to take people's misconceptions as the truth. That's not truth. Truth has to be explored. You need to give yourself freedom to explore. So after many lifetimes is a sadhak born. A sadhak is not born in ordinariness.
Yeah, when it's a new soul.
It's a sadhak is born out of several lifetimes of living in myth and living in darkness and living in ignorance and living in wrong concepts. Then the soul is born as a sadhak, then he comes with a commitment. I'm going to explore the truth myself.
Wow.
I'm not going to take the truths that somebody else has shown me. I'm going to explore with the truth myself. And so on his journey of exploration, he may falter, he may fall, but he'll get up and resurrect again. And the Devi herself will show him the path.
Okay.
The Devi has the very benevolent powers, I'm repeating, very benevolent powers, and they take you in the arms and they show you the truth.
So, Ma, one last question for today's podcast, and I'm sure so many viewers would be having it as well. What is the difference when you pray to Mahavidya and a softer form of the feminine? For example, you pray to Saraswati, but at the same time when you pray to Matangi, and they both represent almost the same things.
Yeah.
But what would be the difference?
There is no difference.
Really?
Yeah, there is no difference. Saraswati has been presented in a very lovable, acceptable form, whereas Matangi appears to be very scary.
Okay.
Appears to be scary or at least complicated. She's not so scary, but she's complicated. And people don't know anything about the Matangi energy, so they don't want to explore. That's the only, there is no difference when you start doing the sadhana of Matangi. You will have the sprouting of Vidya and sprouting of ideas and that energy, exuberance in you. She is a very playful energy. Matangi, for instance, very playful energy. The same experience you get when you're worshipping Saraswati and Matangi. There's no difference. People's perceptions are clouded. People have clouded perceptions about the Devis. And, in Vedanta, there is a very beautiful statement. It says, whatever you take to be real, your whole being responds to it. So if someone tells me something wrong about a Devi, if I read it somewhere and I fall prey to it, I take it as real, my being will respond to it. That means the common example given in Vedanta is that of a rope. You suppose I enter into a room and my foot falls on a rope and I think that the rope is a snake, my whole body starts trembling. Oh my God, there is a snake here. Suppose there is a small nail on that rope and that nail pricks my thumb, I think the snake has bitten me. I can go blue, I can even die. So whatever you take to be real, your whole being will respond to it. You have to clear the slate of your mind to explore the Devis and not go with all the said dark things about the Devis. Explore them yourself with little mantra, just looking. If someone is not pro mantra recitation, okay, you can have the Devi and can relate and talk. There is intuition, there is a telepathic ability that every human being has. So, point number 1, he should be a sadhak. Point number 2, he should be ready to explore. Point number 3, that he should be open to what the Devi tells him or her. If these things are not there, then they need not open. The chapter need not open. The Devi exploration should open only if you have a deep desire to know the truth of her.
Yeah.
And she will tell you. You can just do tratak on her picture, on her yantra, or just close your eyes and meditate and talk. Talk to you, because you have Brahman inside you. The energy is Devi. All kinds of communication are possible. In the silence of your mind, every kind of communication is possible. People should give themselves the permission to explore.
Yeah. And as you previously said, that one does not need to be a sadhak specifically. They are so easy to be invoked. You can just connect with their energy.
Absolutely. And the purpose, when we have a discussion like this, what is the purpose of our talking about Mahavidyas?
Yeah.
It's to remove A, the fear.
Yes, absolutely.
And the wrong concepts about Mahavidya. B, to encourage sadhaks to explore the stream of the Devis, because there are hundreds and thousands of Devis forms all over the cultures, many cultures. So many goddesses are there everywhere. To explore this spectrum of the Devis, what we call Mahavidyas, understanding their crude raw energy that can be invoked very easily, benevolent energies that come from the force of Kali and the Adipara Shakti, and so are very pure. And can I understand how I can align to each of these Devis? Each of the Devis can be explored.
Yes, absolutely. And my purpose of choosing this topic for today's podcast is fulfilled, because that you said, we have removed the fear, we have removed the myths around Mahavidyas.
Yes.
So definitely, Ma, it was very insightful, and it was like a complete masterclass for me. And I hope our audience felt the same. And I hope today's podcast, it helps them to understand and deeper their connection with Mahavidyas.
Yes.
We understood the cosmic, pure, divine energy, and every form of Mahavidya, at the end of the day, it is Ma, and it is very, how a Ma is. Very pure, very motherly, and very protective of the children. So I hope today's podcast was very insightful for you as well. And if you want to start your sadhana, if you want to, not just sadhana, if you want to connect with their energy, today's podcast is the podcast with you, because we understood the deeper meaning, the deeper spiritual energy that the 10 Mahavidyas bring. So do share this podcast as much as you can, and we'll meet in the next podcast. This is Rangoli with you. Thank you.